Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cartoonz, and today I'm going to take you through the 5.2 Mage changes and everything you can expect to be changed in a Mage for what seems to be the final version of the patch, but we're not completely sure. But this is pretty much going to be what you can expect. So I'm going to go pretty much down the list and explain everything to you and give some visuals, obviously, for my character here. And it's going to be pretty much everything. So let's go ahead and start with Invocation. Invocation was really changed. Invocation removed Evocation's cooldown, and it reduces the channel period from 100% to 50%, and of course it increases your spell damage by 15%, which is a little bit of a nerf actually. They nerfed the 25% for 40 seconds to 15% for 1 minute. So this is a little bit of a change, and it now is half of Evocation's cast time. As you can see here, I cast it. It's only 2.7 seconds. It's pretty fast, so that's pretty cool. I still like Encounter's Roar just because of how much damage you get. You get 30% spell damage, but that's just my opinion. I'm just going over the changes right now. That's all I'm doing. And then next up, we are going to talk about the Greater Invisibility. Greater Invisibility was changed also. Greater Invisibility was just reduced to 90-second cooldown instead of a 2.5-minute cooldown. Pretty simple. I mean, not really much to talk about there. Frostbolt from mirror images now causes 50% more damage than before. So whenever you use mirror images, your mirror images do more damage now when you're not using the mirror image glyph as fire or arcane. So that's pretty cool. And then moving on, we have Glyph of Fire Blast. Glyph of Fire Blast was completely removed. So it was just completely taken out of the game. It was also replaced with a new glyph called Glyph of Inferno Blast. And what Glyph of Inferno Blast does is it causes damage over time effects spread by Inferno Blast to spread to one additional target. So that's pretty cool. Blazing Speed. This is a really big one that I wanted to talk about. Okay. Blazing Speed is now a level 15 talent. And why this is a big deal is because Scorch was removed and given to all fire mages. So now that Blazing Speed is only a 25-second cooldown and you can use it whenever you want, like for example, let me show you. It's pretty solid. Like, it's pretty great for positioning an arena and doing anything that you really need. And I mean, I'm going to be taking it over Presence of Mind because of a nerf to the Presence of Mind combo in arena for Ring of Frost. I'll get to that in a couple minutes. But Blazing Speed was really strong now, so I would use it. It's very good for kiting, very good for positioning, to get around a quarter, to make a kill, whatever you want to use. That's what I like about it anyways. But it was also replaced from the level 30 talent. It was replaced with a new ability called Flame Glow. And what Flame Glow does is it absorbs, every time you get hit by something, anything at all, it absorbs up to 4.2k damage with, I'm full gear cap right now on the PTR, so that's, I mean, it scales the spell damage, but it also is a maximum of 30% of the incoming attack up to 4.2k damage. So that's a pretty awesome ability. I mean, I like Ice Barrier, but that's just my opinion. So, new ability and Blazing Speed was moved to level 15. Scorch was given to all fire mages. Pretty cool. Ice Flows is now a 45-second cooldown instead of a 1-minute cooldown, so that's pretty interesting. Ring of Frost. Okay, and I talked about this before, but Ring of Frost, let's go ahead and get Presence of Mind right here. If I were to use Presence of Mind, okay, and I'm just going to click it, just whatever. I have Presence of Mind on me right now, okay? And then I use Ring of Frost, and it now takes 2 seconds to, like, solidify and become an actual Ring of Frost, just like in Cataclysm. It just takes 2 seconds to actually work again, so you can't just instant Ring of Frost a target, and then they just become a Ring of Frost. There's nothing they can do about it. So, I guess that was a bit of a nerf, and that's why people are kind of gravitating towards Blazing Speed. But oh well. I mean, it's all good. So, moving on, we're going to talk about Temporal Shield. Temporal Shield was kind of changed. It was buffed a little bit. When you get your buff back to give your health back from the damage that Temporal Shield absorbs, it is no longer dispellable. It's called Temporal Ripples, I believe. Yes, Temporal Ripples. It can no longer be dispelled. So you can't just use the shield and then the priest dispels your shield. That would be dumb. So you always get the health back. There's no reason for you not to. And then here's the next one, is Deep Freeze. Deep Freeze is being changed. It is actually being buffed again back to 5 seconds, just like last patch. But here's the catch. Glyph of Deep Freeze. you can have it off global cooldown, but deep freeze will only be 4 seconds if you use the glyph. But without the glyph, it's on global cooldown, but it's a 5-second stun. So what this means is that you are able to use it in a solo situation, I suppose, if you were just by yourself. It's pretty good, yeah. Like, you can use Glyph of Deep Freeze and then cast right away. You don't have to wait. But if you were to be in a 3v3 situation and you're going to deep freeze someone, it's probably beneficial to not use the glyph, because you get another second of a stun for your, your arena partners to like capitalize on. You don't have to just expect them to have that 4-second stun. You now have a 5-second stun for them to work off of as well. So it's not just about you. It's mostly just about using it in arena. So that's what I would say about that. But if you're just going for duels and stuff, it's probably not a bad thing to use Glyph of Deep Freeze, but that's just up to you. So Mage PvP 2 set bonus was buffed, or it was actually nerfed a little bit. I'm sorry about that. It now requires counterspell to successfully interrupt a spell before applying the 4-second cooldown. So if you just blanket silence, just put the silence out on someone, it's not going to give you the 4 seconds faster cooldown. It's going to just be the regular whatever. I think it's like 24 seconds, and when you do interrupt a spell, you get 4 seconds off of your cooldown. So it's a 20-second cooldown when you interrupt something, 24 when you don't. So that's pretty straight up. Arcane was nerfed and buffed. I think it was buffed personally, but a lot of people say that it was nerfed just because of what the patch notes have been saying. The patch notes have been saying that it was nerfed. A lot of the spells, Missiles, Blast, and Arcane Barrage, were all nerfed in damage and spell power scaling. But here's something that you need to know, is that for all Arcane Mages, the Arcane Charges was buffed huge. It was actually doubled. It goes from 25% damage on each stack to 50% damage. So it was actually doubled per stack. But Arcane Charges was reduced to 4 stacks instead of 6 stacks. So what you need to know is that if you get 4 stacks as an Arcane Mage, you're going to do 200% damage, as opposed to getting 6 stacks or 25%, which is only 150% damage. So that's, I think it's a buff. Some people think it's a nerf. I've been playing Arcane for a while on PTR, and I think it's pretty strong. So that's just my opinion. Fire, as I said earlier, fire gets Scorch no matter what. That's pretty huge, honestly. Like, getting Blazing Speed and Scorch is a pretty big deal, as well as being able to get Ice Fairy. You get a lot of spells, and a lot of pretty short cooldowns as well. And then Frost. Frost was changed, and honestly, it does a lot more damage. Fingers of Frost now has a 15%, and it was 12%, to activate from Frostbolt, Frostfire Bolt, and Frozen Orb, and a 5% was 4% to activate from Blizzard. It's pretty simple. That's straight up. You just get more chances to be able to proc a Fingers of Frost buff. Pretty simple. Glyph of Ice Lance now causes Ice Lance to deal 50% damage to one target, up from 40%. So that's just a 10% buff on the Glyph of Ice Lance. And then here's the big one. Frostbolt now deals 52% more damage, because its debuff no longer increases subsequent frost damage, or Frostbolt damage. What this means is that when you Frostbolt something, it's no longer going to be just like, okay, I'm going to Frostbolt this, and then my next Frostbolt's going to hit harder, and then the one after that's going to hit harder. It's always hitting harder. It hits 52% more than it did last patch, and that's a pretty big buff. So I've been messing with the Frostbolt damage. Like, for example, let me just hit this lizard. Poor lizard. But like, yeah, 88k without being frozen, just on a mob. I mean, I know that's not comparable to PvP, but still, that's a lot of damage. Frostbolt does a lot of damage. And then, of course, Water Elemental, the freeze was changed a little bit. Freeze no longer does damage, which is pretty good. That allows freeze to not break CCs, so that's pretty good for your pet freeze. And it only provides Fingers of Frost on a successful freeze. So if you were to just freeze a target and then it's like full DR'd and it can't be frozen, then it obviously will not give you the Fingers of Frost proc. So it actually has to land the freeze to be able to get a Fingers of Frost proc. So that's pretty good. But that is literally all of the 5.2 Mage changes for you guys, and I hope that you did enjoy my latest video on the Razer Academy. If you did, then I hope that you will subscribe to the Cult of Razer, because I'm going to be doing more on this channel. And that's about all for me, guys, so I'll see you later. Cartoonz out.